Street Journal is reporting that many CEOs are having a hard time picking between the candidates. Many of them who had supported Trump in the past are nervous about a few things, like tariffs. But at the same time, they don't feel like Kamala Harris will be a better alternative for them because few expect her to embrace Wall Street, and she most likely shouldn't. But many are worried about how she would manage the Federal Trade Commission. That is Lina Khan, who, when you hear from CEO after CEO, they're afraid of Lina Khan. They don't like what she's doing in the world of M&A. Joining me now to discuss, James Surowiecki, contributing writer for Inc., Fast Company, and The Atlantic. James, what do you think about this report from the Journal? I get it. If you're a Fortune 500 CEO, you love deregulation and you love tax cuts. But Donald Trump is offering you a whole lot more unpredictability that's nerve-wracking for them.
I think that's actually the really important part. And the article only talked about that a little bit. I think the loose cannon factor is a big part of what makes CEOs nervous about Trump. You really don't know exactly what he's going to do in terms of, well, any kind of policy, but certainly in terms of economic policy. And I do think that Trump essentially sees the world as basically in terms of deals and in terms of sort of personal favors. So, he's really trying to essentially cut arrangements with different kinds of companies. And I think that it's generally not something that, say, Fortune 500 companies want. What they want is some kind of stability, some sort of regulatory certainty. As you said, look, Fortune 500 companies are going to be biased toward Republicans because they like deregulation and they like tax cuts. But I think Trump really does not really deliver in a lot of ways what Fortune 500 CEOs want from a president.
Well, Mark Cuban, a business leader, outspoken critic, obviously, of Donald Trump, was on The Daily Show last night talking about sort of this groundswell of support Donald Trump has been getting from Silicon Valley. And Cuban gave his explanation as to why. Watch this.
Watching what's happened in Silicon Valley is insane.
Right.
It's not so much a support thing, it's more like a takeover thing, trying to put themselves in a position to have as much control as possible. They want Trump to be the CEO of the United States of America, and they want to be the board of directors that makes him listen to them.
James, I've heard the same thing from sources. People have said to me that Elon Musk will be like a shadow president. He doesn't want a cabinet position. He wants to be Darth Vader, waiting in the wings, orchestrating whatever he wants when and if Donald Trump is the president. And that's why a whole lot of other business leaders are doing the same. What do you think?
It's interesting. I mean, I do think that the number of Silicon Valley CEOs or venture capitalists who have kind of flocked to Trump in the last couple of months it's still relatively small, but there are some very high profile people who have done it. And I do think Cuban is onto something. I think people see Trump as someone who is influenceable, in part because he doesn't necessarily have really established policy vision, a really established policy vision. And that's especially true of things like AI, right? Like Trump doesn't really know anything about AI or what he wants AI to be. And so I think that there are venture capitalists and CEOs who are saying, look, if we can support him and get behind him, then, we can actually really shape what he's going to do. But I will say one thing. I do feel as if there was a kind of groundswell of support when people thought that Trump was guaranteed to win. That is to say, when Biden was still in the race. And I would be surprised if there aren't some people who are saying to themselves, oh, that may not have been the smartest decision. Because let me just say one other thing. The Trump administration and Republicans generally have actually been quite hostile to a lot of Silicon Valley and certainly social media and internet companies generally, passing laws, trying to ban social media companies from being able to manage their own content and the like. So it's not as if he's this great friend of Silicon Valley, but I do think people thought, look, he's going to win and we want to try to get in. And now that Harris has really, basically rallied, I think it's really, people are starting to wonder if that was really such a good decision.
I think it's funny. They all want to go after Lina Khan and they want the candidate who'll get rid of her, forgetting the fact that the person on a presidential ticket right now who's the biggest supporter of the FTC chair, Lina Khan, well, his name is J.D. Vance. And Kamala Harris was in San Francisco this weekend, where she's from, raising a whole lot of money.